Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
The wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today. Okay, guys, I apologize. I've completely butchered the audio. I am totally flustered. We have breaking news out of Idaho right now. Just incredible, absolutely incredible. Bryan Kohberger. Rumor is that he's accepted a plea deal. There's breaking news. Brian Enton broke this on Twitter just a little bit ago. I've learned that Bryan Kohberger has accepted a plea deal. Sources confirmed the prosecution has proposed dropping the death penalty in exchange for Kohberger pleading guilty to committing the 4 murders and serving life. Details are going to follow soon. Absolutely incredible. What does this mean for everybody who was waiting for this trial? And by everybody, I mean everybody. Oh my goodness. A plea deal means that there will be no trial. Bryan Kohberger is, if all this checks out, if these details check out, he's basically admitting, I did it. It was me. I am guilty. I'm changing my plea from not guilty to guilty. It means all the work that put in, all the money, and I mean millions that have been into this, in the investigation, in the lawyer work, the lawyering work, both defense and prosecution, basically becomes wasted. Not totally wasted because the families walk away with a guilty verdict, and they've got somebody who admits to doing it. There's justice served and life in prison. We go straight from, we're about to start trial in a month, which we're just about, we're a little over a month away from trial starting, a month and a half, to when it's sentencing. When it's sentencing, and of course, there's probably going to be a hearing about sentencing before that happens. But holy cow. This changes everything for the summer as far as trial goes. This was going to be the biggest trial of the year. Now is going to be probably the biggest sentencing of the year. No trial. We will not get the evidence. We will not hear everything that's out there. We'll not be watching all these videos. Once he pleads guilty, I imagine that's going to release everybody who's involved, prosecution and defense, from the gag order that's been instituted in this case, where they've basically not been allowed to talk to the media about anything. And I imagine some information will flood out, but we're not going to have 12 weeks of testimony with every witness and every camera owner in the area just sharing their vision of what they saw and what they heard, what they witnessed, and what, little tidbit of evidence they might have. What don't we have still? We still don't have the weapon, right? Maybe could that be part of the deal? Could that be part of the deal? Where's the knife, Brian? Where's the knife? If you're gonna plead guilty, where's the K-bar? Where did that end up? Is that in the Snake River? Is that in the mountains? Did he bury it somewhere? Did he throw it? But we've only got the sheath. But holy cow! I never would have guessed that in this case we would have a plea deal. The last thing we heard was that the lawyers have been asking for more time. They say, we need more time, we're not ready, and they do that. That is actually standard. In a case this big, you see that all the time. A delay is almost as good as a win, right? Let's put it off. And now I bought my fake knife for nothing. Now I've got a fake knife. I've got a fake K-bar. Maybe we'll have to start giving this stuff away. I've got a taillight to get rid of as well. So we might have to add this to the list of things that I don't want just accumulating on my desk forever. Let's see. Tim, you lost some respect for RAF. I apologize. I'm glad to know that I had some at some point. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. I'd be glad to address it with you. Give me a second. Let me pop out chat really quickly so I can see what you guys are saying. Just one second. I am blown away. What source did you hear this from? This is from Bryan Enton. Bryan Enton, which is a senior national correspondent from News Nation. So we're not talking some no-name source. Do you have a credible source? Yes. Bryan Enton. Bryan Enton. We're waiting for additional word. Rob Lawn Lumber retweeted this as well. Lawyer you know is talking about it. Pretty Lies and Alibis. Courtroom Confidential is talking about that tonight. Let's see. Honestly thought he was innocent, said Jessica Miller. I haven't seen Bryan Enton spreading anything false. Anything false. Why would he not wait until the end of trial? Most prosecutors offer the deal until the verdict is read. People, for real, this could mean a couple things. It could mean that the state has the goods on him, right? That the state has the evidence. It's a no-brainer. It's a slam dunk. Do you want to drag your family through this? Because we know that the family, this would be a big burden, traveling all the way across the country for 12 weeks, living in Idaho to be there to support their son. Maybe he just says, look, I don't want to put them through this, and we know what the end's going to be. As long as I can get the death penalty off the table, I'm okay with that. He's okay with that, and this deal, if this all checks out the way we're hearing it, then it's done. Holy cow! This is unbelievable. Trial was set to start the mid August. I think we might have jury selection before that, but selecting a jury. Think of all the work that went in. We've moved this trial from one part of Idaho to the other to get a impartial jury. They've done massive surveys of citizens in the area to see what their exposure was to the trial. The media has descended on this part of the state, not just when the murders happened, but just ongoing. They've basically taken up residence in this part of the country, just watching for this, talking to people, trying to get information. We followed as they started honing in on Bryan Kohberger and looking for his car and everything else. We followed. We heard about him driving across the country with his dad, getting pulled over there. We followed him getting picked up. Was it in Pennsylvania? Can't remember if it's Pennsylvania, and then we found the plane that was carrying him back to Idaho to bring him into custody, the hidden plane that had to make a stop. And we found and followed along the way. This is now. It's now. I know a lot of people are saying I'm disappointed I don't get to see a trial, but for the family, look, that trial is brutal. There's no member of the four victims' families that would be like, I want to sit through trial and hear the details of my child's demise played out on national media. None of us would be like, oh, sign me up for that. All of them, I'm sure, want justice. And with this, they get that, but without being dragged through that the media circus that would be out there. Wow. This is huge. This is massive. I want to hear from Ann Taylor. I want to hear the defense talk about this as soon as this goes down. Obviously, the deal has to be over before they can talk about anything. And even then, there's things between their client and themselves that they just can't talk about. But prosecution has had, according to defense, mountains of evidence, hundreds of hours of video, everything you could possibly, everything from computer searches to the Amazon stuff. We've got the new witnesses they were going to call. Somebody in the jail, right? They were going to call a guard that might have heard something in jail from Bryan Kohberger. We've got the DoorDash delivery driver that puts him right at the scene at the same time. I think the thing was the evidence was just stacking up. You had it before TMZ. They just reported it. Hey, that's the first time and probably the last time that'll ever happen. 4 life without parole is a win for the defense. Yes, I believe so. I don't know well enough if any of the families were actually seeking the death penalty, and some of them do. Obviously, they have the right to say we want you to go through the same thing our daughter or her son went through and lose your life. Why should you get to keep living when our child didn't? I can't fault them for wanting that, but I just. Death penalty's off the table though with this deal. That's the only thing. That's the only thing they were going for. Look at what defense did and all the motions. Look at them talking about his medical status, whether it was dealing with autism and the childhood and upbringing and injuries and everything else. Saying this, we think that for these reasons, the death penalty should not be on the table. The death penalty should not be on the table. That was their goal, was to get to this point. We saw with Lori Vallow in her trial, also in Idaho, that they got to that point by the prosecution making a mistake, a discovery mistake, and as a punishment, as a sanction, the prosecution was not allowed to seek the death penalty. That's the win they wanted. They were in a situation where it's like the best we can really hope for and hold out for is that we get away from that death penalty and just spend life in prison. And with this deal, it's off the table. Death penalty is off the table. Oh my goodness! I want to read his confession. I want to hear a couple things. Hey Rob, Law and Lumber, good to have you here. Welcome. I want to hear a couple things. I hope there's closure. I hope that this is not just a guilty plea, and it's done, and he just carries his secrets with him. I want a confession. I want him to talk. Obviously, I don't want him to be able to say, Son of Sam laws, whatever else how this goes. I don't want him to go out and sign an ink movie deal. Okay, and try to get revenue and stuff. Usually that goes to the families anyway. But I want to hear what happened. I want to hear why. I've got all these questions about how he chose there. Was this random? I want all the details that the state was going to lay out for us with the evidence of when his phone was in the area. What preparation he had done. What places was there any stalking involved? Was there any and what was his driving motive behind that? And then after the murders were done, why did he leave a witness? First of all, what was the all these questions are spinning in our heads that I was hoping to have answered during the trial. Where's the weapon? Where's the knife? And did you know that you'd lost your sheath? When did that happen? I wish I could have answers to all this. And maybe they could make him admit where the weapon is. I do not know. Oh my goodness. Oh. This is the first time I've been grateful for a notice from YouTube. I have to give credit to Bryan Enton on Twitter, and thanks to Amber Vixen, one of my great mods who, Amber, I was using the facility next door when you called, so I didn't answer. I have a rule. But holy cow. So that's why I didn't answer until the second call. Just, had to finish things, right? This is crazy. Never thought that this lawyer would plead him out. They've tried everything else. They're at the point in the trial. The pretrial motions are done. Okay, there's all the motions in lemonade, as we like to say. They're basically your options for what you can keep out. They've tried to keep out every piece of evidence. At one point or another, this defense team has literally asked for everything that the state has on Bryan Kohberger to be thrown out for hearsay or anything else. And the judge has even got on their case. He's like, do you know what hearsay is? But they have tried everything they could. They've literally thrown every bit of noodles on the wall to see what will stick, and it hasn't. They've tried for delay. They've pushed for delay. They got the change of venue. I think they lost in that one because they got to a more stricter judge. Judge Hippler is like, boom, he's on it. And so they got this new judge, and he would not budge. He would not give them any extra time. And he said, this is going forward. He held their feet to the fire, so to speak, on accountability for their time, for preparing. And And now, and when they could not get anything else, I'm sure they had to sit down with Bryan and say, look, Bryan, we have done everything we can to get this taken off the table, to get the death penalty taken off the table. And it's not looking good for you. They've got you dead to rights. They've got your DNA where it shouldn't be, on the knife sheath, under a body, in the crime scene. All the rest is just fluff. When the jury hears that, there's no reason. There's no reason for DNA to be on the knife sheath, on underneath a stabbing victim, unless you were involved quite directly. And now all the other evidence with the DoorDash driver that's going to put him there at the scene, whatever the police, the corrections officer had on him, because that was a new witness they just listed just the other day. Wow. I just need a deep breath. Hey, thanks. My son brought me dinner. That's awesome. Thank you, my friend. You are my friend, but you're also my son, little Larry. What are your questions? Let's see if we can answer a couple, or if anybody has I'll open up the phones here for a minute, as the information is still pouring in, and we don't have all the details yet. All we're hearing is that accept the plea deal, drop the death penalty, accept four guilties on murder, and life in prison. So obviously the documents will be a little slower to follow. Let's see. Burner phone number. Let's do this. Wow. I apologize for the delay. I went live so fast I didn't even get to set the delay to normal. So you've got about a 30-second delay between when I say it and when you hear it. But that'll just become more important for you to turn off your phone
Call
here.
From Denise.
Denise, oh my goodness. Thank you for being our first caller. What are your thoughts as you're hearing this as a court watcher in the case, having been up there yourself so many times? Were you expecting this in any way?
No, not at all. I was just in court, last week before last?
Yeah.
For the motion to continue hearing. I was there for that. Not a clue. But I also wanted to tell you, because I didn't know if you saw my text, none of the local news stations have said anything yet.
Yeah.
So if it's true, local news hasn't picked it up.
Kathy Russin from Law and Crime. Goncalves family confirms the plea deal with Bryan Kohberger, and they're not happy about it. It's the people who I respect in this industry. Kathy Russin's one of them.
Absolutely.
It's confirmed on the sources. This is a thing. This is not bait. This is not.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's real. It's real. We will not have a trial.
I'm with you. I don't doubt Bryan either. I highly respect that man. But I was just letting you know it hasn't dropped locally yet.
I'm not surprised by that. First of all, locally, everyone's got their regular news they're following. This has a ton of national attention. It's got dedicated attention from national outlets, individuals whose whole job it is to follow this case. It's not a surprise that's broken nationally before it breaks locally.
My other thoughts, I'm mad because I had scheduled time off to go watch Jury Voir Dire because I've never seen that part of it.
Oh, no. Well, you just need to move down to, Florida and do the Adelson case instead. That's because they overlap. So.
Yeah, there's that. But I'm also not mad because a case that I've been following literally 5 miles down the street from where I live, a case that I've been following, those defendants are being sentenced at the same time the trial was supposed to be happening. Yeah. So there's that. But I'm flabbergasted. Yeah. I'm flabbergasted. I thought for sure he would go all the way with this.
Yeah. I thought so as well. A lot of times when you see somebody in this situation where the cards are stacked against them, we often say in chat as we sit here and watch from the outside, why don't you just take a plea deal? There's no way you're winning this, right? Everyone can see you're guilty. Okay, it's like we've got your fingerprint on the scene of the crime. We've got you on video, whatever it is, and we say, why don't we take a plea deal? Brian here is taking a plea deal. And we're like, what are you doing? Okay, what? Why in the world?
I think the outrage for the plea deal, and this is probably where the family is coming from as well, or at least Kaylee's family. Yeah. Is that there's no death penalty.
Yeah. That's the thing. I cannot sit in their position and say, well, you shouldn't push for that or you should. That is entirely their right. I have not felt what they felt losing a child to a heinous crime like this. Right. They're in their rights or within their rights even to talk to the prosecution and say, we don't want this. We want to push for the death penalty. We don't want to drop that. But they can't force the prosecutor to make that decision.
Nope.
And sometimes the prosecutor looks at a case like this and says, yeah, we think we can prove it. But, we have to consider, sadly, money is an issue. And this cost a ton of money. You said it. Yeah, you said it earlier. It's already cost millions of dollars. And not just from the state side of it, but the defense side of it as well. Yeah. And it's all taxpayer money because it's a public defender. I don't think she ever gave up her public defender status. And a great one. When you talk about a public defender, Ann Taylor, you won the lottery getting assigned Ann Taylor as your defense attorney in a capital. You could not afford. You could not pay a better person to defend you. She is great at that. She is really really good. The team they assembled was phenomenal. I've got to wonder, did he talk with his family? Did his family say, "Hey, this would be better"? Brian, this doesn't look good. It's going to be hard on us. Did that come in? Was that a decision that had to be made? And he said, for my family, I might do this because he's saying he did it. It's no longer a question. If he signs this paperwork, he's saying I committed these murders. But as far as a couple of weeks ago, they were saying, what about some other culprits? There could be other people involved. There could be other people who are committing this.
I wonder if when Judge Hippler denied the motion to continue, denied the multiple third-party culprit motion, if they just finally said, okay, fine.
Yeah. Can the judge not accept it? The judge will accept it. There's no way he would deny that. Once he accepts this, he's lost his right to appeal. You can't plead guilty and then appeal. So this is done. It's a done deal, is what it is. The sentencing, his defense might argue at sentencing and say, here's the reasons why it should be less than this, but it's. I think you got a minimum mandatory that you're facing life. So it's pretty much decided.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. I don't know, the timing on this is remarkable. I think there's got to be something else that happened. Another shoe that fell into place for this decision to be made right now. Defense gave no indication whatsoever leading up to this that they were about to wave the white flag. This was, you've seen the filings. If we go to the Idaho court page, notable cases, it's just page after page of documents and filings. They've been working around the clock on this case, and we're prepared not just on this, but also looking at the sentencing phase and hiring the experts and everything else. This has not been a dry run for them. And so I've got to think this was Bryan's decision, and it came from his side. I think Ann Taylor would have loved to argue this one out in court. This is what she loves doing.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
Denise, I'm bummed that we won't get to check in with you daily for the 12 weeks as a court watcher. I'm so grateful that you were able to go up to court. We saw you several times in the background as we followed this case, both here on this channel and on our Top Mark Media channel. You've been there, every time they'd let the public in, you were there. And we loved being able to get that perspective that you got in court, sometimes seeing a little bit both inside and outside the courtroom that we couldn't get otherwise. But
well, and I'm bummed that I may not get to see you this summer.
I know. I can cancel the Airbnb. Tell you what, I'm headed to Idaho the end of July. Come down to Bear Lake and wave when you go by. I'll be down there.
Oh, so you're not going to be over here?
I'm going to be in Bear Lake, the other side of the state.
Right. Yeah. So, well, boo.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you, Denise. I've got a couple other people that want to call, but thank you so much. I want to thank you for all your work on this case already. I appreciate it so much.
Definitely. Bye, chat.
We'll see you.
Love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Love you, Scott.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Bye. Denise, a wonderful court watcher, was committed to the full Bryan Kohberger trial for us. Let's see. I think we've got one more here. I'm not sure if it's Amber. Hello, is this Amber?
It's me. Sorry, I keep blowing your phone up. I have more news.
Okay, let's hear it. This is our mod, Amber.
Thursday.
Yes.
Thursday, I don't have a time just yet, but Thursday is the plea hearing. Now, when we say that BK has taken a plea, it has not been taken in court.
Right, so it has not been signed. It has not been inked.
Right. It is not official, but that what is being reported right now as breaking news is that there is an agreement in place that they are expecting him to plead guilty to the 4 counts of murder. I believe they're tossing the burglary charge. I've not confirmed that quite yet.
It's
and
a
they've
tiny
taken
one.
the DP off the table, but I don't know if that means it's life with no parole for each count of red rum or if it's 25 to life for red rum. I'm not sure about that caveat yet, but this Thursday is supposed to be the official plea hearing.
Wow. Obviously, anything could change up to the last moment. We have seen people even push to the last minute of court before they change their plea, as we're waiting for the jury to come in the morning and then change their plea. Anything can happen until the judge bangs the gavel and says it's over.
Right, he is within every right to decline this on Thursday if he so chooses. So it could still go to trial.
Yeah. But he's not going to be declining this because the family doesn't like it. You would decline a plea deal if you had, as a judge, if you had somebody come before you and say, hey, I'm taking a plea deal for disorderly conduct, charged with murder. I talked it down to disorderly conduct. I'm just going to get probation. The judge will say, hang on. That's not right. This deal's not good. This, in the interest of the state, in the interest of justice, this deal isn't good. Where he's got somebody pleading guilty to the 4 charges, and it just takes the top penalty away, there's no reason for him to not accept this plea.
I would agree. As far as everybody saying that they wanted Wednesday, not Thursday. So it's Wednesday, not Thursday for the hearing. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
Little too excited. This was not on anybody's bingo card. I don't think.
It was out of the blue, completely out of the blue. That this popped up, but now are you looking at the docket?
Yes, right now the docket has not been updated. Last I refreshed before I called in, and the hearing date is not posted online yet either. That's directly from the court. The documents and such, everything that has been sealed to this point, everything as far as evidence goes, it should become public information because all trials and cases are supposed to be public. They're only sealed to keep them from tainting the jury pool. Right. Now, autopsy photos and scene pictures, those can probably remain sealed
indefinitely.
And they should for all intents and purposes, but all of the details everybody's wanting to find out, we should actually see that in filings when everything is unsealed.
Yeah.
True?
Yes, yes, but it
That's
might
what I
require
thought.
us to do some digging, and I know this is where you shine.
I can do digging, and I know how to file documents.
Yes, we will do that for sure. We're going to dig this, but this is probably going to be something that a lot of people want to see. There was so much in here. Realize the gag order went into place shortly after he was arrested. Okay.
Yep.
It was like whoop, and everything that's developed. All we have is what went. A brief little synopsis that around the time that the grand jury took place, saying what the allegations are, and that's it. Oftentimes that is very different. It hasn't developed in many of the areas where they are still developing evidence. A lot of the testing hasn't come back yet. And they just think this is what's happened so far. And we've got all of that's come out that nobody's been able to talk about. I want to hear about the Amazon searches. I want to hear about, did he use a gift card to do this? I want to hear about the stalking. I want to hear about all the different cameras, the different witnesses and everything. Amber, I'm going to let you go. I've got a prank call coming in.
Okay,
Just
the other
kidding.
thing, of course, the other thing you've got to remember is that they just recently had a hearing, I think today or last week, or maybe it was set for tomorrow. I forget which, but I'll find out. There was a hearing in Pennsylvania for witnesses in Pennsylvania to see if they have to be flown out to testify for his trial in Idaho.
Right.
They just had a hearing on that in Pennsylvania, or tomorrow.
And we have heard that
I think they already did it, though.
his family wanted to be there to support him, but it was a huge burden. Being in Pennsylvania and then living in Idaho for 12 weeks, that's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. Amber, I've got a couple other calls I'm going to try to take. Thank you very much for your help on this. Thanks for reaching out as soon as this broke as well.
No problem. Bye, y'all.
See you.
Call from
Angela.
Hello, Angela. This is RA. If you can turn your radio down, we've got a long delay. I apologize.
Yeah, hello. I'm here. Wow. I did not expect this, Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There was a group with this case already that were saying that Bryan was innocent, that he had been framed, that there was no no evidence other than some DNA which can be placed there or tainted or planted or something like that. This puts that to bed quite soundly that this is all done. But it also leaves us with so many questions. Where were you on this whole investigation?
I was leaning towards. Technically, he should be. I should think that he is not guilty until proven guilty. But based on little I knew from what we saw and read, I thought he was guilty because his explanations as to where he was allegedly, like watching the stars in Idaho in November. Yeah, right.
It's frigid. If you're not familiar, the wind blows up there. It cuts right through you. The air. It just doesn't matter what you're wearing. It is so cold. Now, star watching in winter is really good, but you just don't do it because you freeze to death.
Yeah, exactly. So I did not buy that explanation. He could have come up with anything much better and much reasonable than, he had how much? About a month, too, before he was arrested? Maybe a month and a change?
There was some
so
time
he
that
had
went by.
time to...
Remember how the investigation, it was a small town that was handling this, and they struggled with the notoriety of the event. First of all, they struggled releasing informations. They had like different people saying different things. Sometimes they're saying, "Hey, there's nowhere you can concern." Next is like, "We've got a mass murder on the loose," and they're not sure which it was. And so they really struggled initially, and it caused panic. It caused mayhem. That no local news, locally, regionally picked up, nationally picked up, and quite a bit of attention from the very get-go on this one. That I think actually helped when you think of it. Because think of all the evidence they've got, just 6 miles away, somebody's security camera on their shed. They've got that video. Why did they have that? Because there was such a huge uproar about this. Everyone's like, well, maybe I've got something. Maybe the car driving by at 2:00 by my shed, 6 miles away is useful. And because of that, they had all that evidence. Made a huge mountain of evidence for defense to pour through, and they complained about it from the get-go. that there was just so much. But I think the state put this together on this.
And I loved how they use like Amazon and other things that we don't know about. Speaking of how they use resources, if we take a comparison to another case that we have followed, Karen Reed, in Kohberger, they contacted FBI, contacted everyone and anyone, people in, if I remember correctly, they even contacted Washington State Police and because he was, I think, for a license plate or something. Right. I think they were contacted for something, and where his parents lived. So they contacted people all over the place. And if you compare that to Karen Reed, they went from Canton PD to MSP, and that's it. They did not go further. Did not ask FBI. Did not ask anyone else.
This one's different. This murder really had a lot of people up in arms. First of all, you send your kids off to school, you hope they'd be safe, and you've got 4 of them murdered in one room. It's quite not in one room, in one house. It's a stabbing. First of all, it's very personal. Sometimes a shooting can be somewhat distanced, but you've got all these facts that had a lot of people just nervous that like it could be anybody, and we don't know who it is. There's nobody in custody. We've got 4 dead college students, no explanation. Everyone's just going, what happened? But so obviously they pulled in resources with it being a school just right near the border, the state border. They pulled in resources from multiple states there, and did everything they could to put to help the community, assure the community that it was taken care of.
They were also, I remember reading or listening, they were also afraid, are other students in danger?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the local news immediately came out and said, no, there's no concern. But then they also had to say, but we don't know who did it. It's like, how can you say there's community, don't be alarmed, don't be up in arms, and also say, we got nothing yet. We're still chasing down leads.
Speaking of no leads, what the media reported, I remember something similar said either police or DA, maybe not the DA, but some media spokesperson said about there is no need to panic. But it was like maybe a week or 2 before Kohberger was arrested.
Yeah, time went by. And there was panic.
Yeah, and I remember people such a family went up in flames and they were mad about the police, and whoever spoke, it wasn't to media like, oh, don't panic, something along those lines. And I remember it was another case. They were like from years ago. They also made some comments like that, and then there was like arrest a week or so later in that other case. And I was like, it does sound like it sounded to me like they're saying that on purpose because they have already someone in mind and they are about to arrest somebody. And lo and behold, a week or so later, they arrested Kohberger.
Yeah, this is... Yeah. And it did... There was quite a bit of relief once they arrested him. Really, there was. The community could breathe again. The college could breathe again. Angela, thank you very much for the call. So grateful for you to call. And it's been a while since we've talked, but thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll see you. Bye. All the way from Sweden. Thank you, Angela, following internationally. Can Bryan sell his story? Usually not. And if he does, usually the amount of money he's able to collect on that is very, very small. The majority usually goes to family. But those laws are changing. That's the Son of Sam laws. I'm curious about the knife, and not just because it's just a morbid question. If it's not in the Snake River, first of all, if it's in the Snake River, no one's finding it. Period. I'm sorry, that river, it's massive, it's deep, it's muddy, and it has everything else in there. You've got to sort through layers and layers of cars at the bottom of that river before you find anything else. Construction materials, there's a lot of junk in that river, especially down in the area where they say his car went. But if it's in the mountains somewhere, it can be found. It can be found with a metal detector. It can be found by teams, and I think they need to. I want it found. I don't like the idea of just no weapon and that it just disappears. A plea hearing scheduled for Wednesday. Whoever just called said it was Thursday. But yeah, we corrected that. Thank you very much, True Crime and Trash TV. Thank you very much. Snake River is fast and deep. Fished in that river, actually right near that area. So will we see it? Yes, we're going to follow the plea deal, the plea change. That will be live. All right, stop swinging that knife. No, this is actually rubber ramda. This is actually fake. It's plastic. There's no edge to it. It's black. It's plastic. It's used for training. It is the actual size of a K-bar. If he used a K-bar knife, this was the K-bar sheath that he found, and it had the U.S. Marine Corps logo. Let me show you that one. It looks like this right here. Had the U.S. Marine Corps logo. This is what we heard was found at the crime scene. It has a snap on the top. That snap is where the DNA was found, his DNA at the crime scene, and this sheath was found underneath the victim's body, which is quite compelling. But what was not found was the knife itself. That was missing, and it still hasn't been found to this day. So I've just got a training one because I don't want to cut myself, and YouTube would not be a big fan of that. So this is just plastic. The only way you could hurt yourself with this is, I don't know, if you chewed it up and ate it. It's pretty harmless. Have metal detector will travel. Let's see. This was on members only. I don't think I've ever done a members only ever. I've never done a members only. And I haven't changed anything that I know of. Let's see. You can now devote your time and channel to looking for the knife with your metal detector. I'd love to get out to Idaho, but more to fish than that. Emily, yes, just to recap what we have just heard today, this afternoon, we had just finished the court in Connecticut with Raul Vale in that terrible stabbing trial. Also, 4 stabbing victims in that one. In that case, one person died. Jimmy McGrath died. It was a high school party, turns to fight, turns violent, and turned tragic. So some similarities there between Kohberger, but that's about where they end. We just finished trial for the day with the defendant actually on the stand. He's still on the stand tomorrow. We're going to hear more from that one tomorrow morning. But we heard news through Bryan Enton first. Got to give him credit on Twitter, releasing that there's word that Bryan Kohberger has accepted a plea deal in the Idaho 4 case, that he will be pleading guilty to the 4 murders in return for taking the death penalty off the table, which means there will be no trial. Bryan Kohberger will not stand trial if he accepts that plea deal. Obviously, it still has to be formalized. This is just them just saying we've reached an agreement, but it has to be done in court. He will have to stand up before the judge and change his plea. That's something we'll hear him say himself. It won't come from his lawyer. And then once that is done and the judge accepts the plea, this is a done deal. Everything regarding all the scheduling, except for sentencing and possibly a couple, maybe some pre-sentencing hearings, will pretty much be off the docket, and at that point it's just sentencing, and then he'll be serving what we anticipate to be the rest of his life in prison. He better give a full allocation, I'll tell you that. I would like that. I really think I'd like to think it would help the family, but I can't speak for them. I don't know if that would help them or not. But it seems that somebody going to prison and keeping some secrets with them about what happened and why, if I imagine that if I was in that situation, I would want to know all the details, if nothing else, to put every question to rest, so I wouldn't be haunted by questions later. And I hope that comes about. Court TV is saying it's life without parole. That's the idea. Is it automatic life without parole then if no death penalty? Guitar Hero, look at what defense was doing all the way up to this. Look how many different filings they made about his health status, about his upbringing, about prior injuries, everything else. They wanted to take death penalty off the table. It's almost like their entire goal in this trial was just to keep him alive, not to keep him out of prison. There's so much evidence, compelling evidence. I think they were focusing on what they could possibly win, and that was to save his life, avoid the death penalty. And when they couldn't win that procedurally in pretrial motions and before the judge, before trial began, and basically the last option was eliminated, then you have a decision to make. Let's see. The Goncalves family page says it's true. We are beyond furious. The state of Idaho. They have failed. Please give us some time. This was very unexpected. We appreciate all your love and support. That's from Kaylee's family. Is that on Facebook? Yeah. That's on Facebook. Not everybody on the victim category is happy with this outcome. But prosecutors, when they make this decision, they have to look at a couple things. Usually it's how sure are we that we can get a conviction, right? We want to have a conviction, but if we don't have enough evidence to support it, or it's like, I don't know, it's a little weak in these certain elements, they might be more inclined to give a plea deal. But they also look at this and say, where's the most bang for our buck? Yeah, we have this high-profile case, but we have a stack back on the docket behind us that nobody's talking about. That the families deserve just as much attention in that case for their family member, for the victims in that case, and we can't give it to them because of the time that this one is taking. Is it worth it to say life without parole? We'll accept that, and in return for a plea deal, we'll give that life without parole. Take death penalty off the table. I realize we probably could have got death penalty, but it's just in the sense of justice and in the big picture of things, is that better off? 28 Tama, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. Zebra for Otters says, thanks for the prompt coverage. Love your streams, RA. Thank you, Zebra. I appreciate that. Let's see. I guess Utah can stop building the firing range. It's Idaho is the problem. I think Idaho had to build a firing range, right? I think Utah already has the firing range. Kurt, I'm looking forward to your explanation of this. I know you were looking forward to this trial, just so you could break it down as play-by-play as it happened. There's a lot of fascinating stuff to look into on this case, and I'm sure it's going to have a few different streams from a lot of different people sharing, especially as information comes available. Oh my goodness, when the records are unsealed and the flood of information, the terabytes of data, are released to the public, or a lot of them are, it's going to be remarkable as we then get to piece together, much like the prosecution had already prepared to do in this case, the happenings of that night and what they say happened. We might hear some of those details as we go on through sentencing, but let's see. So BK leaked it to Dateline. I have no idea. Judge was really upset about the leaks. Very upset. Let's see. Rose with Thorns. Yes, breaking news. Bryan Kohberger appears to be taking a plea deal, pleading guilty to 4 counts of murder, in turn getting death penalty taken off the table. But his parents encouraged him to do it. That if they did, that could be an indication that of where they felt everything was. I don't know any parent out there who would look at a child they believe is factually innocent and say, hey, for the best, just take one for the team. It'd be better for all of us if you just said you did it. No parent's going to let their kid do that. Still want to know who leaked. I still want answers. I wonder if the investigation will stop. If that investigation into the leak is over. The judge ordered that. He said, I want to talk to whoever talked and figure out where this came from. I wonder if that's going to continue. Obviously, he's not happy about it. We'll see where that goes. Maybe he'll give us some clues here in this next hearing. Is this for real? It is. It is for real. I don't understand how it's a plea if you'll die in prison anyways. Wouldn't you go for trial? Verity, it's rare to see this. Especially in a big case like that. A lot of people had speculated that a murderer in this type of situation would enjoy the trial process, getting to relive it. If that's insinuating that they enjoyed committing the crime and would get some satisfaction from hearing the facts played out in court again. I know it's sick and twisted, but we know that for some people that is the case. And there was speculation that was the case here in the Bryan Kohberger trial. With this plea deal, that will not happen for sure. The investigation would continue. Sounds terrible, but I was looking forward to this trial. Laurie, we all were, because we all want answers to some of these huge questions. I want to hear this story that we've heard just a little glimpse of about, going stargazing and how much of that is true. How much of that is, I was going stargazing, well, I buried a knife or got rid of some evidence or had to get rid of some clothes and gloves and balaclava or whatever it is. And where did that end up? I'm guessing Snake River, but we'll see. Well, if he gives his plea like BTK did, we'll get to hear all the details anyway. Judge Hippler changed everything. He was a game changer in this one. Absolute game changer. Didn't agree with everything he did, specifically on live streaming. It made it difficult for us to follow cases. We were an afterthought, not something that they worked with or coordinated with. And so they would just go live and start, and there was no warning, and we were oftentimes in hearings just having to refresh the page constantly and then just guess when things happened. That made it difficult for some of us, but we'll do that for this next hearing as well. I'm honestly floored by this news, completely out of the blue. Completely out of the blue. Virginia, I agree. I think the judge will continue that investigation. I think it would be more like this as... I don't know the future. I think it would be more like, if you did this, please take a plea deal. Don't put other families for the trauma for trial and appeals. Yeah, if they did, props to them. Oh my goodness, that must be so difficult for everybody. Hope they're allowed to have victim impact statements. I'm sure they would be able to. I think Idaho has those. Do we see it in Lori Vallows? I think we did. See, I suspect Snake River too. At what point can you request court documents and fill us in on the details of the evidence? This will probably happen in open court when the judge accepts the plea deal. He'll probably enter an order then regarding the gag order and lift the gag order, from the prosecution and the defense. We'll get some stuff from the prosecutors. Obviously, there's a massive media interest where they want to talk about what they had in this case. And once there's a conviction, I think they'll be able to talk about that. Defense will be a little more quiet, just because they can't talk about their conversations with their client, decisions that way. But you'll probably get a statement from both expressing appreciation to the courts and then condolences for the families. Didn't like Judge. I loved the name, though. It was so good. Judge was the name. All right, you think he acted alone, solo. P. Will, I have never been on board with the conspiracy of multiple players here. It doesn't stand to reason. It seems so far out of the norm for that to occur. Generally, I mean, sadly, look to yesterday in Idaho. Yesterday in Idaho, there was a brush fire, right? And responding officers and police officers and firefighters who responded came under immediate sniper fire. Somebody was shooting, and they pointed out. They said, we don't know who is shooting or how many people are shooting or where they are. It's a manhunt. Eventually, they did get him. They got the guy and were able to haul his body out before the fire overtook where his body was. But in the initial moment, you have to ask the question: is it one? Is it more? And I think that question, when you say you've got 4 murders, like, is it one person or more? I think that just developed legs and ran. Most times it's one. Most times it's one. Let's see. He needs to tell the family the truth. I would want to know what happened. I agree. No conspiracy. He did all of it. I would agree. I don't think we've seen anything that would indicate that there were more, other than somebody saying, "How would he do it that quickly?" Well, look at the case we're following out of Connecticut right now with Raul Valle. 3 seconds after one person's stabbed, they're unconscious on the ground. That's how you do it that quickly. And if they're sleeping and you're not chasing them down or something like that, it's even quicker. It's brutal. It's murder. It's terrible to even think about. But it's also very possible to end someone's life very, very quickly. Life is extremely, extremely fragile, and if you have intent to do harm, it can be done very quickly. Is this going to be shown Wednesday? Yes, and we're going to show it here. We're going to show it. We would skip our other trial to follow the plea deal change. Selfishly, I wanted this to hit trial. Empathetically, I'm relieved the families and friends won't have to battle this defense team in court. Realistically, he deserves the death penalty. I think you're right on all fronts. That resonates with me very much, Laura. Selfishly, I wanted answers. Selfishly, I love the legal system, watching it play out with attorneys in court. That for me is, I'm a recovery addict. I'm addicted to court. I love watching that. I love watching good attorneys on both sides do their best in court. But for the family's sake, I think it's sad because they're not on board. But watching how other families have been dragged through trial and the emotions of having the pictures shown and the stories told, it would not have been easy either way. It would not have been easy for anybody. All right. Just opened this as Deb in Indiana. Shocked but glad. Thank you. He was more to BTK radar than Bundy, if I recall. Hello, the trial channel. Welcome. Good to have you here. Do you have a backup trial for summer? Adelson is happening at the same time. Donna Adelson. There's going to be overlap on those two. Here's the thing. I was talking with Josh from Courtroom Confidential last week. We were together on his show on Wednesday. And we were talking, I think it might have been before the live stream, about how every day in courtrooms across America, trials like this are playing out to empty rooms, where there might be a victim or two or a local reporter or, a couple trial watchers there, but no cameras. There are trials all across the country that have just as compelling stories, just as heartbreaking situations, and just as confusing facts as the ones we watch on together on this channel. There is always another court to watch. There's always another court to watch. Just some of them are big and some of them are small. But if you see one coming up that I've had a couple people already text me with some ideas about trials to watch. Let me know. We do like to follow trials that have an interesting aspect to them, whether there's a connection one way or another, whether the charges are particularly unique. Obviously, this channel, we don't do a lot with charges against children. SA-type cases, we try to steer away from that. It's just very difficult for our audience, but if the trial's right, we will follow it. Let's see. Every news outlet is reporting it. They are. Do you think we'll get the info on this deal or any info at all? Yes, we will. Corey Richards is coming up in February, and we've got news. We've got news there. Obviously, I'm not ready to go with it tonight, but I hear there could be a whole bunch of more charges in Corey Richards' case. We'll have to listen to that. I like you, love law, but ISAT changed my mind. Let's see. Stearns is next. See, does he have to tell the court he did the murders? What details would go? That's what we want to find out. We want to know if there's a full reporting of everything that occurred. Corey Richards' charges be poppin'. Yes, that's if you want a case that has crazy baked in, but not in a sov-sit type way where you're dealing with somebody who just doesn't accept reality. Just crazy, like I can't believe this actually happened. Corey Richards will be the case to follow. That it is wild. It is absolutely wild, and there's more stuff. 24 new charges for Corey. Yes, we have been there in Park City. We've been there twice for hearings. I went there personally to bring some of the hearings leading up to Corey Richards. We might be there in person for the trial itself, the duration of the trial, starting in February. I've got some connections out there, and I love going there. It's a beautiful. I'm like, that's why they had the Olympics. It is beautiful. The mountains in Park City, unbelievable. I just wish I was out there fishing or something instead of sitting in court. Even in February, the ice fishing up there is great. Danny on Direct said there should be an allocation on Wednesday at the plea hearing. I hope she's right. I absolutely hope she's right. Bryan Walsh will be crazy. Uses kid's iPad, how to get rid of a body. Corey Richards is the one who wrote a children's book about grief. Yes, Julia. Yes. Now she's charged with her husband's murder. She writes a book for her kids. Are you still with me? For the missing their dad. Nope. And she knows why. If she was guilty. Let's see. The letter, her brother, her mom, poisoning. There's so much. The walk the dog letter in the Corey Richards, unbelievable. You guys, there are facts here that will make Sarah Boone's case look plain and boring compared to Corey Richens. Just crazy. What if the state threatened him to take the deal? SCB, I don't think that would happen because, first of all, they're not going to talk to him directly. That would go through a lawyer. And if the state did something illegal, like threatening him, that would be the national news right now. So I'd say no on that. The threats would be like, we're prepared to pursue the death penalty. But that's not a threat. That's a promise. That's something they're going to deliver on. All right. Walk the dog was epic. Looking forward to Corey Richens' trial. We are. Having death penalties or possible punishment is not a threat. That's right. That's just the maximum punishment. All right. Let me say thank you all. I did not plan to go live again tonight. I thought we were done. We'd actually just watched a little case out of Thurston County, Washington, about two neighbors that are fighting over, cats and everything else in the laundry room. And just as a little palate cleanser after court today, and no sooner had we ended than this came out. So just for those who joined late, we want to say once again, Bryan Kohberger, news breaking right now, or just moments ago, in the last hour, Bryan Kohberger has accepted a plea deal. The family, Goncalves family, Kaylee's family is not happy with it. The plea deal takes the death penalty off the table. In return, though, that Bryan Kohberger would be pleading guilty to 4 counts of murder. That's basically him saying, yes, I did it. I am guilty. But he would get no worse than life without parole in exchange. And I guess no better either. That would be the sentence, life without parole. I was so excited. I love news is in my blood. You guys, for those that don't know, I used to work at a news station. There's nothing like the assignment phone desk ringing or, a reporter calling and saying, hey, I was going to go work on this story about a school having a new playground, and on the way this happened. I love breaking news. It's in my blood as well. So it's a lot of fun. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. We'd love you to come back. We do this every day. We follow court cases from around the country, and oftentimes we do some deep dives. We have some incredible community members who span the world, really. Pretty much all the continents have reported in except for Antarctica. But we'd love to have you join us and become one of the true crime addicts on the Recovery Addict channel. My name is Scott. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all being here. You guys, it's time for me to call it end to the day. There are some wonderful creators out there who have incredible insight as far as the legal process in Idaho, this case in particular, who are coming online right now talking about this. So if you want more of this, please peruse to your heart's content. This will be a topic of conversation here for a couple days online. So with that, we are going to chase this down as well. Obviously, we're going to be watching when documents become available. We're going to bring them to you. When we get answers to some of those searing questions we've had about the BK case, we'll bring those as well. We will also be carrying live the hearing plea change when that happens out of Idaho. We'll bring that to you right here. So do join us for that. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone. Make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning. I think it's around 9 o'clock, maybe 9:30. We're going to be starting with day 9 at the Raul Valle trial. He's charged with murdering one person, assaulting 3 others. A knife attack at a high school party went wrong. Underage drinking across the board. It's a terrible situation, but he's on the stand right now. Well, not right now, but he will be first thing in the morning as well. He's about to tell his version of those events tomorrow. So please join us for that. You guys, we'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.